Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to build this early game starter base with a nice workshop to the side. I designed it using the new cosmetics of the Lost Colony DLC, but you could definitely use some different cosmetics or just different structures to get a really nice build. You don't need any mods or collisions or whatever to make this happen. It is just a nice and vanilla build with a nice workshop on the outside, a little greenhouse around the back, and plenty of space for your early game storage and crafting needs, as well as some cozy rooms at the top so that you can totally feel at home in this, and especially if you add some of those nice new pet displays. As always, if you enjoy seeing these build tutorials and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds you'd like to see down in the comments below. So first of all, we of course want to start with the foundation. We're going to actually start with 3 foundations over here, and we're going to make that 2 wide. Then we're going to again extend this, so we're going to have 2 over here. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side, so total that's going to be 5. This corner here we then want to bring out until it is also 5 in total, and then we can bring them here across the front to be 5 in total as well. We won't continue this line straight away, but we will fill in the rest of the foundation. So this is almost a 5x5 with a little addition. Here for this side, what we want to do is actually bring out our quarter foundations and make a shape like this. So we kind of fill in the shape and we leave out these 4 in the middle. There we can place 2 normal foundations again, so they stick out by a tiny bit over here. And then over at this side, we actually want to take the middle 3. We want to go over here, go out by 3, make this 3 long, and then go back in and fill in those foundations all together. So that's going to be the footprint for this build. We can then take out our stone gateway. We can add that here on the side. Fill in the gate itself too. And of course, we can skin these right away. We can actually just go and skin this entire thing. I'm going to use the Lost Colony skins for this, but I definitely think that this build could also look really nice by using and combining some other skins if you want to go for a different looking aesthetic. But since we're brand new here on Lost Colony, I figured, you know, might as well go ahead and use the new one, of course. So just to focus on this side here, what we want to do here in the front is again add some stairs. If it lets you, you could have a slope wall there. Sometimes the landscape won't let you, but then at least we'll skin those walls or those stairs so that we have a nice entrance. And then we want to fill in the sides here. So we want to have some quarter walls going all the way up until they meet the top here. We want, of course, change those skins. There we go. And then actually to kind of fill this gap in, we want to take out all quarter ramps, go up by, oh no, there, go up by 3 in total before going back down on the other side with 3 as well. We of course can also skin those to look like the Lost Colony skins, and then we have the side entrance here ready to be used. Now, before we start building the rest of the build, there is a little bit extra space we need. We need 3 ceilings to come out from here. Bring those out like so. And we can have a little platform over here. We, of course, want to support this with some stone pillars. Sometimes you might need a temporary pillar first before it lets you place them down. And because the landscape is a little bit weird here, I need a second one, but you should only really need the one. And then what we also want to do is build a little walkway around this side. So we'll bring out some ceilings all the way along the sides over here. And then take out some quarter ceilings right there in this corner. So then we can also add some pillars over here to support this walkway on this corner. And finally over there on that corner. And we can, of course, add some stairs at the very end and some stairs over here so that they're all connected back into the landscape and you can get to those platforms. And we can, of course, change the skins of all of this so that they fit the vibes correctly. And yeah, we'll do that, of course, also for the platform over here. That's going to be our little workshop area. Then we'll take out our pillars. We will add 2 over here at the front of those stairs. We'll add 1 over here and 1 over there. But then we actually also want to make sure that we add some here in the middle. And we'll actually do a half pillar on top of these so that we can extend those a little bit higher. We also want to have that on this corner over here. And then we can have some thin pillars along this side. We want to do that up to here, so we have 4 of these thin pillars along the sides of that walkway. And then we can actually bring out our railings as well to kind of make this walkway feel a little bit more secured. So we can have, of course, those places, and we can actually have it along the sides of the workshop over here too. We can have some half railings in these sections so that they are still all connected up as well. And then finally, if you want some extra details, you can of course also have them coming down the stairs and maybe even here on this corner. And of course we can change all those skins, and for some extra details we can actually have some half pillars on these corners too, so they fit the vibe. So that already gives us a little bit of the extra structure that we'll need on the outside of the actual buildings. Now, first off, we'll start working on the little workshop area, which is actually rather simple. We want to take out our ramps. We want to snap them here to the top of the pillar. Sometimes you'll see it won't let you snap it the right way. You want to take out a wall or a quarter wall that you can use as a snap point. And then from there, you can place in 3 of these ramps. We can then take out the separate temporary piece, and we can have these ramps go up by 3 in total. So this entire workplace, you can see, is now covered. They actually updated it, so it removes the snow. Then we can take out our little quarter pieces and add them here along the very edge too. So we just want to bring this across so that we have a little bit of a overhang going on, and it just looks a little bit nicer. Of course, we can then skin this roof so that it looks a bit more in vibe of the build that we're working on. There we go. And then finally, for some additional details, which you could do, definitely is optional, but I like to have some support. So I want to have some shallow slope walls going underneath these ramps up until to where the building will be in the future. And then of course, we can also skin these pieces to get those supports looking very nice indeed. And that is the little workshop area ready. And then over here, again, sometimes it will let you snap right to the pillar. Sometimes you'll need the temporary wall to get the snap point, and then you remove the wall just as we did for the workshop. But we want to have 3 ramps over here, and we can skin those, of course. Then we can take out our pillars. Here on this corner, we want to have 2 pillars. We want to have 2 pillars on that corner too. Then we'll take out our doors. We want to have a doorway right there in the middle, and we want to have one lining up with this. So what we're going to do is take out some quarter walls here, quarter walls over there. Then we can have the door right there in the middle so that it lines up nicely with the actual entrance that we build over here. Then we can also take out our windows. We want to have 1 here, and we can have 2 over here on that side to kind of give us some additional options. Then for the rest of this, we just want to kind of fill in these walls. So we'll bring up these walls like this. We can add another layer above that one. And then also here we can bring the walls across. We also, of course, want to bring out the actual doors and fill in the actual windows over here. And of course, this door too. And then we can, of course, skin this all to be the Lost Colony skin to get that Gothic feel in this building ready. And then, of course, we'll see that on the outside, it looks pretty decent. But especially on the inside, it's quite busy with all these red windows. So we want to switch the variants. I use the variant tool for this, but of course you can also just interact with them to change the variants. The first option is both sides will be this one, which is nice and clean. So I'm going to use that here, and I'm going to use that on the corners. On this one, I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to actually change this twice so that now it shows this on both sides, and it kind of looks like some kind of fake window. And then over here, we're going to change these to be the same on both sides. that is going to be the fake window, and that is going to be the fake window. So again, it kind of looks like there's now some windows there, even though there's not actually any windows, but it's just a nice way to add a few details to the walls and make sure that they're not too busy for the rest of it. Then we can bring out some quarter ceilings. We can have them here along the edge, and we can do the same thing on the other side of the building, bring them all the way along the edge, which also means that we can then bring out our slope walls here. We can go through the snap points, and we want to have one to that corner and one on this corner. We can have 2 full walls, and then we can have 2 more slope walls over here. Now for this entire side, once again, we can fill in these Gothic skins. We can switch these to be some fake windows up there, and if you want to have an actual window to get in some light, you're best off using the Frontier cosmetic. So that is of course from the Bob Talltales DLC. That is the only official window skin that we have at the moment, but it is a really nice addition to get that little bit of light into your base. And of course the rest we can just all skin to the Lost Colony structure. Then we can bring out the roofs. Here at the back we can actually just fill in the roofs like this. So just 4 normal pieces, nothing major going on. We can do the outside one over there, but then of course it starts to change a little bit. We want to have 1 more roof here, and we can fill in the top layer. Then we want to take out our roof corners, and we can actually fill in this section like so. We can add in 2 more roofs over here, and then we can bring out all quarter roofs to add just that little bit extra here in the front. We actually want to then expand these ceilings, so we want to bring out those ceilings until we are at the pillar, and that also means that we can have a full ceiling here, and then you can either, you know, use some Frontier skins or just have the normal Gothic skin so that we have some matching ones. And then of course snapping it against the roofs, we want to have our walls there, slope walls there. We can of course add in another Frontier window if you want an actual window, or you can just go for the Gothic skin, and we can of course then change the skins for the entire roof to get that nice look to them. There we go. We can do the same thing here on the other side. And I would definitely recommend having a chimney sticking out on the back of the building. But to add a little bit more details to the roof itself, we can actually add some railings on the top. We can do the same thing over here, and even a half railing at the end, and change these to the steampunk skin so that we have some nice little spiked railings on top of there, just to add that extra little bit of detail. And you can already see that the building is starting to take proper shape now. And then before we continue the rest of the building, we're actually first going to do the interior of this side. So we want to add in a floor here. We can of course skin the floor. You could also use Frontier wood if you'd like. And then what I would actually do for the inside here is actually have a fake wall over here on this side. You could even place a chimney here. Really looks quite nice. And then we have some secret storage so that you could potentially still store something, but it's easier to place things against a wall like this. Then here on the inside we can actually also place down a door right there in the middle. And what we also want to do is make sure that we have our full walls there. We're going to have another layer of course, but we'll focus on that once we actually start working on this part of the build. But finally, of course, we can also add a door in so that you have a separate room up here that you could utilize. And before we build the main part of the building, we're going to focus here at the back of the build. We want to bring a pillar up from the corner just like that. And of course, we can change those to the nice Gothic look. Bring out the greenhouse walls. We can have walls going up like this, walls around the back, and walls around the side here. Bring out the slope walls. We can have the shape added in like this. Same over there. And then we can add the roofs in. So we just want to make sure that we have this full greenhouse here. We can then once again bring out the walls. We can fill in this section all the way. And of course here at the bottom have a little doorway and add the actual door itself too. Then we can actually transform this of course to the Lost Colony skins so that we don't actually see that there is a greenhouse, but it looks a lot nicer, obviously. Then what I want to do here is actually I want to change a lot of these to be the full windows. The inside, I want to make sure that they both look like this. And then here on the outside, once again, I want to have more of the red glow. Potentially what you could also do is flip these skins around so that that matches the red glow, just to set apart the greenhouse from the normal walls. I think that is a really nice thing to do. And of course, that means we can also do the same thing here at the back. Then if you want to add a little bit more details to this building, what I would personally do is add a few of these quarter roofs around the outside, just so that you still have a little bit of that overhang going on and it looks a little less flat here in the back, and it shouldn't affect any of the greenhouse effectiveness going on the inside. Then we bring out our stone pillars. We add it here on the corner to be 3 high. Same over here on this corner. Make sure that is 3 high. Here again, 3 high pillar. Over here too. There we go. And yeah, we can of course change those all to be the nice Lost Colony skins all the way up from the top to the bottom. And then the final one over here. So those are the corners of the main building here. We want to start over here on this side. We can actually raise up this wall all the way, raise up this wall, do the same over here, same over there. Oops, I misplaced this one. Build in this corner. We can build in this corner over here and the one over here on that side. So we can change all of these, of course, to the Lost Colony skins on all of the different sides. There we go. And once again, I want to make sure that these are nice and neutral, so they're all going to be the same skin on both sides. Actually want to do the same over there, and we can go all the way around until we've done that for all of these, so that it's a little bit less busy, a little bit more neutral skins. First of all, we want to focus on this wall over here. We can actually bring in these slope walls so that we have a little bit more shape going on here at the bottom. And then we actually want to bring out some quarter ceilings here along the side of the building. So we just want to bring that all the way along that side, and we'll do the same thing over here on the other side. So they're just on the top of the roofs of the 2 side buildings. And of course, we can update those skins as well to the right variant so that they all are matching. Then we can bring out the quarter walls, fill in the gaps here along the gate entrance. So we just want to add all of those quarter walls in, and of course change them to the right skin. And then we have that side pretty much done. Over here, of course, we want to make sure that we have a double doorway so that we can get to the workshop area. And then the rest of this side, we just want to fill in with our walls just like this. And again, we're going to make this all look a little bit more neutral. We can of course add in the actual doors so that we can reach that workshop area. And then we want to actually start building the stairs up to the next layer. So first of all, we're going to have 2 or 3 ceilings over here. From there, we want to bring out some stairs, of course. Have the stairs come down like this, and have the stairs go up one further before it connects into the ceilings up here. And then we can kind of just start placing all of these ceilings for the next layer of the build. It should connect up to all of our walls. There we go. And of course, once again, we can update these skins to be the right version. There we go. We want to have these stairs look nice too. Now we can see the inside is cleared of snow, which is really nice that now works. We can add in some railings here alongside of the staircase for now, and we can add some thin pillars on the ends here of the stairs. We can of course update those skins, and that means we already are creating quite a nice little interior. It does get quite dark here, so you definitely want to have some lights, fireplaces, etc., to make sure that you get plenty of light on the inside and it is not too dark to see things. Then over here, it is time to start filling in the walls. We want to have the slope wall here on this corner, just like that. We want to have that same happen over here. And then, of course, we can have full walls connecting one side to the other. We can skin those right away as well. And then we kind of just want to continue to bring this up. So we have more full walls and then some slope walls going back into the build. We can change all these. For the full walls over here, we want to change them to be the same on both sides. And these ones we want to use again as some fake windows. Then we can go to the opposite side of the building. And once again, we can place down our slope walls here at the corner, get the right snap point. And then connect the two sides with our full walls, build them up like so. And of course, add them in all along the way so that we have the shape of the roof again. We can then, of course, change our skins all the way through. And over here as well, we want to change these all to be the same on both sides. And then here, we can have some more fake windows. And potentially you could have a frontier window at the top if you want to bring in some natural light to the inside. So again, if we go to the frontier skins and apply the glass one, we can get that little window just to get a little bit of natural light that can potentially get into the inside of your builds. For the roof, we want to make sure that we snap it to this quarter ceiling so that it sticks out by half over the outside. And we want to connect this up all the way from one side to the other. And of course, we can already start filling in at least this side, the entire roof, just like this. There we go. And of course, that means we can start changing all of this to the skin as well. And at the final top, of course, we want to have our railings going across the top so that we can turn them into the nice spikes of the steampunk. Oh, no, not that one. The steampunk skins, so that we have the nice detailed railings on there. Before we do the other side of the roof, we are going to focus here on the inside. Again, I would add in some secret stone walls so that we can have a little bit of secret storage, but also make this wall a little easier to place things against. At the corner, we're going to have some quarter walls, because now again, you could place, for example, a fireplace there to look quite nice. We can, of course, skin the walls. And we can build our entrance to a room up here. What we want to do first is have 4 quarter walls over here. Then we're going to have a normal wall underneath it. And then we're going to have a doorway there. And of course, we can have an actual door too. And we can then update these skins to get started with. I would change that to be more neutral. So we're basically building another room over here. So what we want to do for that is we also want to have our slope wall over here. Then we want to just have our normal walls, which should line up with the wall that we already have in place. And then the rest of our slope walls should line up perfectly. So basically this dividing wall, there's not a lot to do. I would change these variants to make it a little bit more clean. But now on the inside, it already looks like it's going to match up. Over here, what we actually want to do is take out a railing. So full railing and then a half railing next to it, so that this walkway is also safe. And then finally, of course, we also want to add in a wall right over here. So first of all, we can of course check which ones we can actually place down. You can see not all of it. So we want to place a full wall there. And then we're going to have some quarter walls on each side. Then we actually want to snap another full wall on top of that. And then we can have 2 slope walls to finish that section. So that's how we can build in these walls. We can change those variants. And there we go. That is the room kind of separated from the main part of the building, so that you have, you know, a few different rooms in your building. We can then add our roofs again, and we should be able to just do the same thing as we did on the opposite side. We're not just going to fill in the entire roof though. We're going to only do the bottom layer for now. We can bring these 2 up to the top 2. Well, let's make sure not to overlap any. And of course, we can bring this all the way across the top. Then we want to bring out some more secret doorways. We can have 3 of them right next to each other. Again, just makes it easier to place things against the wall. So we'll once again change these skins. Feels a little bit more like a room like this, but it also offers us an opportunity to add in a little bit more detail here. So if we wanted to, we could have some slope walls here, bring out the frontier skin again so we can turn it into a little window, and then we want to use all corner pieces again to add the roof in. And then finally we can add the roof back there, and we can have some quarter roofs right along that side. Of course, along the top, we want to have a railing, and then finally half a railing at the very end. Those we can, of course, skin to the steampunk skin, and then we can skin the entire roof to be Lost Colony to match the rest of the building. And with that, we have completed the entire building. So yeah, that is how you build this very nice and cozy little starter house, Lost Colony workshop, with a nice workshop area here on the outside, as well as some nice porches around this side of the building. On the inside, we have a decent amount of space here, connected to the bigger room of the main building. We have the dino gate that you can use, of course, to bring in some of your early game tames so that they're nice and safe on the inside. We, of course, have our greenhouse at the back. And then we have some rooms upstairs, one being this one to the side, maybe for a nice cozy bedroom. And then we have another room up here, whether you want another bedroom because you're in a bigger tribe, or you want to have just more space for crafting or something else up at the top of your building. There we go. That is how you build this little Gothic Starter Base Workshop. This is the original version that I made, so you can see a little bit of inspiration on how to decorate it and how to utilize it, using some of these new Lost Colony lights around the place. We have here a little bit of a workshop, so the Lost Colony table with mortar and pestles. We have the forges out here burning brightly. We have a fireplace, smithy, and a little bit of storage. Then on the inside, we can see some of our tames. We can see some crafting, a little bit of a kitchen going on as well. We have that main gate, of course. We have more of the lights to make sure we can see. We have vaults along the sides as storage. We have some pet displays. We have the cryo fridges along the side. We have a smithy here as well. Some more storage. Of course, we have the little greenhouse here at the back that you can use to grow some of your crops. And then upstairs, we have, of course, a little bit more. So we have one room here offering you some cozy vibes. And you can see that the frontier skin currently, at least, still has some snow on it. Hopefully, that will get fixed really, really soon. And then at the top, we have another cozy bedroom with some more storage and another fireplace to get some warmth in here. But yeah, totally is a very nice little starter house, and I think it works quite well with the Lost Colony skins, but definitely also could work very, very well with some different cosmetics or the different skins from the Bob Tall Tales DLC. There we go. That was it for this build tutorial. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, of course, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps me out a lot, and I do really appreciate all the support. And of course, feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in the next video or the next stream. For now, goodbye.